Hey Harmonizers, we're going to take a look at what happened before this security footage. That is Timmy, my Mustang, leading back into the Mustang pen after coming out for some grass. So that means we've had some pretty big accomplishes over the last week or so, or last week or two. So I wanted to share with you guys some of the highlights. So this is one of the sessions leading up to doing his first ever touch on his neck area on both sides. And so this is kind of how I started the approaching piece, where I would use the lunge whip to reach because it's less intimidating. My body doesn't have to get as close to him, and sometimes with the body coming so close, it can be a little bit claustrophobic for them. So it can be a little less scary to use the lunge whip as that extension of my arm. It's important to note though that I haven't used a stick as a chasing tool or anything like that towards him. It's only ever been something friendly to rub on him with. So he doesn't associate it with running from it or anything like that. And just working on touching him. And you'll notice that it's his right eye that he prefers that I approach first. So he's different from Elon, the opposite of Elon, because Elon wanted me to approach him on the left side, and Timmy is wanting me to approach him on the right side. So here you can see we're doing our rubs with me using my hand rubbing on his neck and getting that going really well. So this is all looking super fantastic, and those are his first neck touches out in the open. His halter was put on in a chute, so that's why we don't really count that, because this is a much better indicator as to how he's doing, being able to approach him out in the open where he can freely run away if he wants to, and then being able to rub him on his neck like that. So when he backs up a little bit, I try not to reward him in that moment. Instead, you can see there he's getting to have the grass as I am rubbing on his neck there. And if you want to see the full video of how I transitioned from rubbing him with the lunge whip to being able to rub him with my hand, then go to harmonyhorsemanshipacademy.org and check out the Connection Club, where I post my more full-length Mustang videos and have all of the other Mustang videos from the different ones that I've gentled and tamed. They've all been a little bit different and have different sessions to show where I go into more detail and explain everything of how I go through the different steps and what I'm looking for. Here is progressing to another session now, and you can see he's pretty confident now at approaching me. He knows that he's going to get some grass, and there you can see I'm starting to pet him on both sides. So I was on the right side and then kind of dipped under and pet him on his left side. So we progressed from there a little bit, and then also started to work on leading for the first time as well, which he was already doing a fair bit of following people because of the grass. So he was already, approaching me and approaching some of the other boarders that have been coming in to feed him as well, the grass, and following us around as we go pick grass or take it around the little paddock. So he's already been practicing that to some extent. So I have the rope on him there, and the rope is long enough, it's a 22-foot rope, that if he gets worried, he can back up out of my space, no problem. And then we just start with a little bit of turns and asking him to follow me. And you can see the rope is actually pretty loose for the most part, and that's because he's already kind of learned to follow people to get food. So now we're just starting to introduce that rope in terms of getting him to get used to that feel. So fast forward, here's a little bit towards the end of that session, just being able to rub his face. So he's good about rubbing his neck area and coming up onto his face from there, but it's still a little bit shocking for him if I try to just go and rub his face. So that's something that we'll definitely work on, but also something I think that people can kind of keep in mind when you're working with horses, that their face is a pretty sensitive area. It's not typically the area where they want to be rubbed. Whereas if you watch horses out in the field, if they're going to rub each other, it's usually on their necks or kind of by their wither area or even on their backs. It's not typically their faces. So they can like scratches on their face once they trust you or if they're feeling sweaty, but we have to be careful about all of that. So here's a little bit of footage of Mr. Timmy Man coming outside of his pen for the first time. It actually took him quite a while. It took him about half an hour before he was confident enough to actually walk through the opening of his gate to be able to come out here. And my goal was simply to have him come out, have him eat some grass, let him kind of relax and realize that it's a good thing to kind of follow people and be able to come out of the pen, because he was so reluctant to go out of his pen because his pen has become his real safety comfort area. So that was really tough for him. Once he realized that we were walking from grass place to grass place, he was pretty willing. So this is after I had just moved him to, he just walked down to a different area, still around his pen. You can see he was a little jumpy there, but then he kind of settles and he's eating grass there and doing really well and realizing that it's a pretty good deal to be out here. I didn't film a ton of stuff because it's just kind of an awkward area to film, to set up a camera. And for the most part, I wanted to keep 2 hands on the rope ready in case he was going to pull or something like that. Didn't want him to get loose. Our property is fully fenced, but still, just in case, you want to be prepared. And so he did a great job. He enjoyed having his grass. He realized it was a good time. I already show you guys the footage from the security cam of him going back into the field. And then at the very end, I've been giving him a little bit of senior feed because it's kind of a sweet feed with a little bit of optimal, which has minerals. And I've been offering it to him, not necessarily every day, but every couple days. And finally now he's starting to eat it. He's doing that little bit of head tossing because he's not 100% sure about the taste, but he's trying it. And so that's going to make training a lot easier if I don't have to keep picking handfuls of grass all the time. So I'm pretty excited about that. Plus it means he can start to get better nutrition. Thanks for watching, guys.